All right, what's up, everybody? Cold day. Got to bundle up, get out here and get this walk in. So appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. We all kind of like, if we have kids anyway, I'm speaking to the parents today. So excuse me. So today, we all, kind of go through this like same cycle. And so if you have kids, you probably understand what I'm talking about here. Colton, my man, what's up, dude? So if you have kids and they go to school, the first step when they get out of school is they get in your car and we all ask them the same question, which is, how was your day? And you always get this like, hey, what's up, Mark? You always get the same like redundant blank stare on their face. Oh, it was this and that. And they like just start complaining, right? And that's not what we want from them. We want to actually get something that was good in their day, right? And so we have to stop asking the wrong question for the answer that we're trying to get, which is, what was something awesome that happened, right? That's what we're really looking for, is like, where was the good points in your day today? So I have a 3-step method that I use with both of my kids, and it absolutely changed how that pickup time at school went. So yeah, there you go. Colton knows what's going on, man. He's there waiting in line with all the other awesome parents that are great at driving in the carpool lane, right? So my 3-step method is not, Chelsea Ryan, what's up? It's not, how was your day? All right, because that's general, it's open-ended, and it leaves them with nothing but this term of like, I'm going to complain about everything that I didn't like today. So the first step in this method, hey Jessica, how you doing? Is to ask them, what was something awesome that happened today? Okay? They will automatically change. They will probably pause, at least the first couple of times. They're going to stop and have to think about, wow, what was something actually good that happened today? They don't get those questions, right? Everybody's always like generalized. How was stuff? And our default mode, even as children, is to complain. All right, so if you get a lot of complaining from your kids, ask different questions. All right, so that's step number 1, is to ask them something good that happened today. Step number 2, ask them, what was one thing that you learned today? Now, we expect them to go to school and learn things, right? But how often do they actually come home and tell us about something that they learned? They only attribute the learning aspect of things as, I need to temporarily remember what I was told today in order to regurgitate it on a test, and then I'll forget it. So if you even ask that simple question to stimulate their thought process by asking them one thing that they learned, you're going to at least get one thing that they learned. But what happens is they will start to think about, oh, I learned this thing. Oh, and I learned this thing. And you'll start this trigger, this like waterfall sequence of events that they will tell you probably more than one thing that they learned about, right? And so you start getting them thinking in a different process, and you'll get some good information out of it. So that's step number 2, is what did you learn today? Step number 3 is, what was something that happened unexpectedly? And this is where it really gets their gears turning. What was something that happened that I didn't plan to happen today? And they have to really dissect their day. They have to look back. My man Diamond, what's up, dude? Bud Grant, good to see you guys. So step number 3 is asking them, what was something unexpected that happened in your day today? And they'll think about it for a minute, and they'll start coming up with, oh, there was this thing that happened, and like the spark, just the tone of their voice changes, and their excitement to tell you about stuff immediately goes in a different direction. And one thing that will happen universally is they will not ever tell you the bad stuff that happened at school. They do that by default. If there's something negative that happens, they're going to tell you about it anyways. They're ingrained with that. They're pissed off about it. They're in their mode of like, oh man, this is the bad thing, and here's what happened, and here's how I reacted, and these kids were this way, and all these sorts of things, right? But what we're looking for as parents is to inspire positivity in our children. So we have to take the initiative to ask the right questions. And this is very important. And here's the other bonus trick, okay? I got one bonus tip that I'm going to tell you about that makes this process go smoother. Tell them before you drop them off that you're going to ask them these questions when they get out of school. That's the magic, guys. Don't make it a surprise. That doesn't have to be this like, oh, tricked you, like it's not about that, okay? We're working together. We're a family, right? We're trying to help them improve. And we help them improve by thinking correctly and determining the way that they actually respond in the world. And we have to train them over and over and over by asking them the right questions, but also setting them up for success by letting them know, hey, I'm not hiding the questions on the test. I'm telling you the test questions before you take the test. It's so hard to study for something that you don't know what the questions are going to be when you go to take the test, right? That's a stupid process. The test should always be told to you up front so that you can study the right material and you could be successful, right? So when I go to school with these kids, I go and drop them off. I tell them, during your day, pay attention to these 3 things. I'm going to ask you at the end of the day, what was something awesome that happened? What was something that you learned today? And what was something that happened unexpectedly? All right. And so I've been doing this with my kids for a while, so I don't have to tell them the questions. It's the same 3 questions every single day. My daughter is a little bit tougher to get some stuff out of because she's 9. There's my man, Marco. How we doing? So the younger they are, the tougher this is. But if you start them at a young age and you start to engage with them in a way that they expect this process to happen, it gets ingrained as to how that interaction is going to go. And eventually you don't have to tell them the question. So my son is 15. He's in high school. And he knows I'm going to ask him this every single day. So during their day, it also changes how they interact and what they focus on throughout the day. Nicole, good to see you. This gives them something positive. Actually, 3 things positive to pay attention to throughout the day so that when they get out of school, and this is a non-negotiable for me, right? I don't want to hear anything that you're complaining about. Vernon, my man, what's up? I don't want to hear about what the bad things were. I can't do anything about it unless like some kid physically hit you or something. I need to talk to the teacher maybe. Like that's almost never, right? So what I'm looking for is how to get them excited about what they're doing every day and the interactions that they have and looking for things to be positive about. So I let them know the questions up front, and then when they get out of school, our ride home is magic. They're in a positive mind state as soon as they get in the car. I ask them the question, what was something positive or what was something awesome that happened today? Hadiza, I hope I said that right. Good to see you. So for my son today, I picked him up. I said, what was something good that happened today? He said, oh, the test that I had to take in math was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Now, this changed his perspective about the exact same test he had already taken. But if I had asked him, how was your day today? He would have said, oh, this test sucked because I didn't get through it all the way and I didn't know the answer to the question at the end and I had to hurry up and finish it right before the bell and blah, blah, blah. Like you put them in the mode to complain. So understand the power you have as a parent to shift the way that you get responses by the questions that you ask. Super important. So instead, he said, oh, this test wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be because I thought it was going to be a lot harder and I actually got through most of it and I wasn't the only one struggling. All the other kids were having a tough time. Tina, good to see you. Craig here. Man, we got a bunch of people on today. This is awesome. So that first question of what was something awesome that happened today? That's very important to ask that one first. Okay, the order of the questions is very important as well, because you get them in the positive mindset for the next two questions, which is, what was something that you learned today, as step 2. So if the second question was asked first, what was something that you learned today? It's not always a positive mind state that they have to come in. Oh, got people waiting for me. I got to run across the street here. They're not always in that positive mind state. They might actually jump into a situation, Lorianne, good to see you, of complaining about the thing that they had to learn. Kids feel like learning is a forced situation. There's no kid that's like, oh, I'm excited to go to school and learn some things, right? But if we start out with that positive question, what was something awesome, and then we follow up with something that you learned, they're in that positive response mode. So what they learned is automatically associated with something that was good. Okay, so I asked my son, what was something that you learned today? He's like, man, I actually learned that there are kids in my class that don't always understand things the way that I understand them, and I can actually help them sometimes. And I've been able to sort of create this connection with people. Gene Russell, good to see you, man. I don't think I've ever seen you on one of my lives before, so that's awesome. But he was able to realize that the things that he understands, he can actually help other kids with, because he's able to get his work done sometimes before them, and they see him just kind of sitting there. And so he's become their kind of go-to guy. Oh, hey, dude, you got this thing already down. Like, can you help me out with it, right? And so he's mindful of these things. He's aware that he's able to help these kids. And he's totally cool with helping them out and, show them the things that he knows. It's not an arrogance thing where he's trying to be like, oh, I know all this stuff. But they recognize it because he's going through his motions and understanding his value to help them, okay? And then step 3, this is where you really have to have them in a positive state before you ask this question, okay? This one is tricky, because if you don't get the first 2 ones in there and they're not in that right state, it will always go negative, all right? That third question is, what was something unexpected that happened today? The connotation in which you hear that question is dependent on the mind state you're in when you hear it. So we have to get them in that positive flow, that looking at things in a good light, before we ask that question of, what was something positive? What was something unexpected that happened today? And so my son, he always gives me these amazing answers. He says, I found out that there was a kid that was as much into anime as I am. And I said, well, why was that so unexpected? He said, because I didn't ask him about anime. He brought up the topic, and I tried to play it off because I didn't want to be that anime kid. I didn't want to have that label put on me as the nerdy guy and blah, blah, blah. Like, high school is very superficial, and kids are very much worried about appearance and perception of everyone else or whatever. And so he's actually gotten pretty good at learning how to not necessarily manipulate the conversation, but to let it kind of develop itself instead of forcing it. And so when the kid said something about anime, he very subtly mentioned one thing to sort of test the waters and dropped the name of a popular anime show. And when the kid came back and was like, oh yeah, and there's this one character, and like, Josh Valdez, what's up, man? This is the thing I've been watching, and there's this one, and there's that one, and like, the kid started going off about it. It gave him the green light to open up himself and talk to the kid in a different way than what he would have if he had tried to direct the conversation. And I would have never, as a parent, gotten this information out of him if I had done the standard routine of, how was your day today, right? That generic question will destroy the answer. The format will never come out the way you want it to be. So it's super important, guys. If you got kids, you go through this same motion with them every single day. You pick them up from school, they get in the car, they're probably in a bad mood. Kids hate going to school. Like I don't know very many kids that actually enjoy going to school. So you have to trigger them to respond in a way that is positive for them. Yolanda, good to see you. So these 3 questions: what was something awesome that happened today? What was something that you learned? And what was something unexpected that happened? Try this out. Guys, this has changed my pickup routine to be one of the best times of day for me and for my kids. We both enjoy it, and I set them up for success. I tell them about the questions beforehand. We've been doing it for a while, and now they know the format. It's not a surprise, and it gets them looking into these things of, oh man, Dad's going to ask me this question when I get out of school. I got to have an answer for him. It's a non-negotiable. I have to have something positive. I got to know something that I learned, and I have to have something unexpected that happens. And their entire day changes for them because they're looking for these answers all day long. They actually avoid paying attention to the negative things. So guys, if you got kids, drop a 1 in the comments. Let me know that you're feeling this stuff, and let me know. Come back tomorrow. Comment on this after you try this with your kids, because I would love to hear how these responses go for you. This is something I started doing quite a long time ago, and man, just absolutely revolutionized that pickup time. So please let me know how it's going for you guys. Richie Hyatt, good to see you, man. We're about to jump off here, but please watch this. Let me know how this routine goes for you guys, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.